Good afternoon, adventurers. Here we have the Slugcat, the main character and player entity in the titular precipitous planet we all know and love. They're soft, squishy, and would probably make a fairly gross sound if you slapped your hand onto the top of his head. And over the course of playing Rainworld, I have made many a thumbnail and have perfected a method of drawing these goofy little characters, and I feel like I've got it buttoned down and polished to the point where I could probably teach you, the viewer, how to do it yourself. So that's what this video is. I'm teaching, and we are going to draw Slugcat in the way that I do for the thumbnails, which is noticeably different from the official art, mainly in that it is very simple, and the Slugcat has a neck. The more simplistic style is reminiscent of cartoons in the 90s, or at least that's what I was going for, with a few added attributes of rubber hose animation to make their arms and legs do funny things whenever interacting with the more bitey denizens of the Rain world. But to start out with, yes, I am a masochist and use GIMP to do all of this stuff, and believe it or not, that is a mouse. Yes, I use a mouse to do all of this. When I have a tablet, I just don't really have the room on my desk to use it, and I'm pretty sure the cables, but let's not worry about that right now. We are going to draw the Scug. So to start out with, I usually use a white or gray background just to have something to draw. You can see I have my layers here still from when I made the rest of the imagery for this. I'll make a couple of layers, one for the lines and one for the colors, and I like to use a kind of scraggly paintbrush, which usually defaults to being quite large. I think this is supposed to be like dabbing your brush on the paper, and I'll bring that down to like 15. 15 is a nice amount, with pretty heavy smoothing on. Whenever I draw this Scug, I usually come in from the top of the right ear if he's looking to the left. That's bad. And sort of just kind of have the chin and side of the face in here. Come on with the ear down. That's a little bit too far in, so I'll make it fatter. Not that fat. Yeah, there we go. That's good. And the top of the head. This is too tall. Lots of mistakes and lots of fixing mistakes, but that's why Control-Z exists. And usually, like, if we look at the original character, there is a tiny notch where that's behind there, where the neck would be. So I don't go that far into giving them no neck. I kind of go with the shape of those old Nickelodeon nudes. You know, the little plastic character things. Like it's area rule. He's a jet fighter. So I'll just bring the ear down, and I like to let the character kind of be what it wants to be. So like classically, I made Spearmaster have a pretty bad posture. So let's turn this into Spearmaster. So he's going to be leaning forward a little bit. So I'll come out with the shoulder. Too much. Have him real lank shoulder. And this is sort of a 3/4 view, so we'll bring the neck out that way. Keep it kind of thick because, you know, keep it sluggy. If you make his neck real skinny, begins to look like like Cletus or something. But let's keep his neck sort of thick-ish. This is Spearmaster, thinnish. And I usually stop about here to do some of the facial stuff because that's more fun. I move around the drawing a lot, and realistically, I would like to rotate the image, but that's jank here. So I used to do big, large expression eyes, but I feel like those are a little bit too, like, wide looking all the time, so I usually start with just something more circular. And try to keep it as circular as possible. If the foreshortened side of the face, which would be this side, gets a little shorter, like taller, it doesn't matter that much. And if things are a little bit angular, you know, you just use the eraser and bring it back. One of the hallmarks of what I do here is I do leave little flaws in like erasure marks and those scratchy things, because I feel like flaws can become part of the character of the image. And a lot of times, just for a nose, just a line actually works fairly well. Although if you're feeling like adding a little bit of texture, adding some curve or a little notch, let them smell some. But keep in mind that in 3/4 views, the angle of the face does take into some account. While you could just draw it straight on and it wouldn't look bad, I do like to take into consideration that there are parts of the face. So in this angle, I will usually notch out of the eye, maybe not that high, but you know, like erase a little out of it to imply that the nose goes over that area, you know, the end of the snoot. Which, in this particular case, I feel like I'm cocking my head, isn't necessary. If I was to go and move the nose up, though, to about there, like he's looking a little bit more straight up, then we could take a notch out of the eye here. I'm doing this for example's sake because I did sort of like the other angle, but we're playing with this. You know, that's sort of looking up. I still don't like it. But that's one of the things about this, is if you don't like it, just make it different. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, so now Spearmaster smelled something, but, you know, we could go in here and make him Starve Master. And make him really, really gaunt. Yeah. or it looks like he's trying to go and can't because he doesn't have a mouth. But the soft, round shapes are fine. As for the body, yeah, it's Squish Master. I guess just make the arm smaller. This is one of those times that I probably would restart. So that's a terrible example, mostly focusing on the faces. Now, like I said, lots of times, you starting over can't help. So if I just ignore the idiot behind the curtain. There we go. A much more reasonable Slugcat with a little bit of exaggerated perspective, I guess. Sort of what I've done before. But you may notice that I've left the hands blank, because depending on what I'm doing with the hand, I may leave it as a mitten or with fingers, depending on the character. I think I gave Rivulet hands most of the time, and Spearmaster had mittens most of the time, which was kind of weird. But usually if I'm making them grasping something, like a spear or a rock, I like to just make the fingers one solid shape, because it's easier. I'm abysmal at drawing hands, so it's more of just a guesstimation at the shape. So like if I'm drawing a spear, I'll usually go with the closed mitten type hand. I'll just flood fill that black later, in which the end of the fingers are here and whatnot. That's, you know, thumb. Works great. In the, let me clear you up, because I do use more layers than this normally, but we're not being cheaters today. But I feel that fingers can allow you to have more expression in the hand. So in this case, coming to the end of the arm, I can, I'm thinking about it, because I'm a hand's hard. But if we kind of have like an open, like tense grasping hand, have a finger and another finger behind it, and perhaps another finger behind that, a little finger, and then a thumb. Yeah, that actually turned out great. Wow, I'm surprised that turned out as good as it did in the first try. But yeah, there's like a balanced hand reaching out. I usually do 4 fingers because, you know, like, it's a cartoon and why not? Plus, like, to be honest, do you have... No, there's not even really any indication that the actual official art has fingers at all. So, yeah, there we go. There's, Slugcat walking. And color, I usually go and, select the... I'll turn my threshold absolutely as high as I can without it escaping the outside of the thing. Because if you flood fill, you can't see the top and bottom of my screen because of the monitor resolution, and I don't know, people usually hide their taskbar and what time and date it is for some reason. Security, I guess. You don't get to see what I'm running in the background. But if you flood fill, well, let's red your character, you'll notice we have this stuff, and even if you turn it up real high, real good, the edges are kind of harsh, it looks scratchy, and it still doesn't fill it in. So like it's still transparent. So if I make the background, yeah, you can see it. But there is a solution to this. You can go in here and well, it's not a great solution, but I usually go in here and select it at as high a threshold as I possibly can before it starts to bleed out into the outer world. Too much! There we go. And go to a blank layer in which this is just the background. So who do we want to make this? I'm going to say the goofy stance is, I haven't actually done monk. Monk's sort of yellow, I guess. Sort of, yeah, there we go. That's a good enough color. Monk. And I've done it wrong. Okay, fixed it. Go and select the monk parts of it. I'm pretty sure monk's eyes are black, so that'll be easy enough to paint. There we go. Oh, I missed a spot. And that fills in the background a little bit better. So we have this nice flood-filled thing. Now, usually when it comes to the classic object is selected. I do usually keep the outlines completely separate from it. I don't blend them together because sometimes you need to fix stuff. And in this instance, I'm putting the eyes in the outline layer just because they're dark, and they look a little soulless sometimes. I do prefer the, like, the dark is kind of like, you know, by the game. But I do sort of prefer to, do what I want. I kind of want to keep them lighter. Like, I feel like they would almost look better if, like, I made his eyes white. But the monk's eyes aren't white. I can go in here and, you know, let's give him some watery, sad eyes. Oh, he's crying, my brother. He fell off. Oh no. There we go. There. Have monk. And he's got his stick that... No throw. Stick. Yeah, there's a good example of why flood feel bad, but, you know, you can just... fix it. Yeah, there we go. There has been some times where I've gone in and shaded some, like if there's a really bright light source or in the background or foreground or whatever. That's usually fairly simple. I'll just select that so it doesn't affect anything else and use the old dodge burn tool, make it a little bit bigger. You know, wow, that did nothing. What have I got this set on? Burn. Invert the selection, dingus. And dodging it, like, that's the highlight, so like shadows would be warmer. So yeah, let's go warm them up a little bit. Let's put some shading on the bottom side of things. Yeah, about like that'll do. Under the chin. Chinny chin chin. Too much. There's a lot of it's like just try things until it looks right. Like basically my whole philosophy with about anything is just give it a try, because it can't hurt. There we go. Shady Monk. Now for the other slugs, make a new layer real quick so I can draw some that they'll have like extra head parts. So I just go next to them, like if we were like if we just make a quick, ooh, that's too thick. Too thick. Yeah, so if we just what, 15? Yeah. Don't want the lines to be too thick, because you never know what'll happen if you put riv and thick in the same sentence. This, the bombastic round face. I always gave Riv like slightly short ears. Ah, that'll be fine. Look at me with them big old eyes. I actually really liked, I thought Riv was fun because like I could actually give the eyes a little bit more expression, because Rivulet has pupils. All the other ones are just them like a, you know, doll's eyes. I also found that Riv worked really nicely with a mouth of some sort. More so than like the other ones. And usually whenever I do like fur and or like gills and things, I like these just simple layered shapes. Like they just overlap each other slightly and give the appearance of just detail. I can just erase the head around it a little bit. Kind of keeping our angle good. Yeah, rivulet. Now, Riv's face, I always did a little bit of extra too, because she's got this kind of magenta gill thing going on. So I'd select the magenta and use a round gradient tool from the middle of the head. And use the offset to push that out to the edges. Like so. And if there was any excess, I'd clean it up. Here's some teethies. I don't actually know if slugcats have teeth. Answer below, do slugcats have teeth? Riv, big old pupils. Looks best when slightly cross-eyed. Let me just throw in specular highlight and a speed rivulet. So that's that's my style for slugcats in a nutshell. Like I feel like it has actually become a legitimate, like, this is my thing, this is how I do them. It is not official, because you get down here. It's not official at all, as we can tell. Grabby face. But that means I can name it. I can call it like Scugfalon or something. And that's kind of funny. But I'm not taking any sort of like, ownership of this or anything. It's not like, this is mine and you can't have it. If anybody wants to use this, have at it. If anybody wants to draw weird 90s cartoon Slugcats, go for it. I hope you've learned something. I've taught you something about the madness in which I function and made some cool and interesting characters. And I don't know how, but like, if there was any way to show me what is done with this, to fax me a picture or something. Use a pearl. Don't swallow it. And have a lovely day.